Security, privacy, and spam. What disposable emails truly protect. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got. One of the features of my email is disposable email addresses. I have about 25 to 30 right now for various registrations and accounts, including your newsletter. But I have to question how secure doing this is as opposed to opening a new email account for every different provider for every different registration. I ask because it strikes me that all of those disposable addresses I have are ultimately tied to the same password on my account. My reaction? Security? That's not really what this is about. Privacy? Some. Spam management? Absolutely. Disposable email addresses come in different forms. They start with your main single email address. I'll use you@randomisp.com as my example. This email address would be your real email address where you receive your email. Sub-addressing is a technique that allows you to add an arbitrary string to your email address, which is actually ignored by your email service. So, for example, if you were to subscribe to a newsletter with the email address you+askleo@randomisp.com, the newsletter would still be delivered to you@randomisp.com, ignoring the +askleo part. You can create as many of these as you like in services that support it. Create one for every store you visit, for example, plus Amazon, plus Walmart, plus Costco, plus whatever. If any of those get abused or inappropriately shared, or they fail to respond to an unsubscribe, you can then typically create a filter of some sort to route that specific sub-address to trash or spam and never have to see email from that source again. In the meantime, the other sub-addresses, as well as your real email address, they continue to work just fine. The catch is that not all email providers support sub-addressing. Check with your provider. Also check what character they use, if they support it. Most, but not all, use the plus sign, as I've used in the examples here. Now, one downside of sub-addressing is that it exposes your real email address to anyone who understands the syntax. They can see that it's, plus something or other, but they know that they can remove that and have your real email address. Aliases are simply other email addresses you create that just deliver to your real email address. They differ from sub-addresses in two important ways. One, you have to create them before you use them. Usually you do this with your email service if they support it. And two, they don't have to have any relationship with your real email address. So even if your email address is you@randomisp.com, you might set up an alias, Costco Shopping @randomisp.com, to use when shopping at Costco online. All emails sent to it would arrive at you@randomisp.com. Like sub-addresses, if any get abused, you can disable them completely. In the meantime, the other aliases, as well as your real email address, continue to work just fine. The catch is that few email services provide this specific version of the feature. If you own your own domain name, like I own askleo.com, it's actually quite easy, and I do this a lot myself. Again, depending on who is actually providing the email for that domain. Forwarding services are another option. They're like aliases, but they're provided by a third party. You register a new email address, say you@somerandomservice.com, and instruct that all emails sent to that address should be forwarded to your real email address, you@randomisp.com. The terms, the lifespan, and the possible cost, of course, will vary depending on the service you use. But like aliases, if any get abused, well, you just turn them off. Free email accounts are not quite the same thing, but I want to include this to be complete, especially since that's what the original question is comparing against. You could absolutely create a completely new, separate, free email account instead of a sub-address, an alias, or a forward. That's Quite a bit of work per address, of course, and it ensures that there's no relationship between your real email address and the free email accounts you might set up. But it also adds the burden of checking email unless you somehow forward all these accounts to your real email address, or you somehow fetch email from all these accounts to a central location, perhaps a desktop email program. Sounds complicated. And of course, ultimately, they're disposable. When you're tired of them, just stop checking email at that free account that has lost its value. But like I said, it seems overly complicated. Now, security, privacy, and spam is what we started with. There are a lot of different reasons you might set up disposable email addresses. I'm going to address the 3 most common reasons people think of and how well disposables actually accomplish the desired result. Disposable email addresses don't really do much to increase your security. I suppose disabling an email address that's become a magnet for spam and malware helps a little, but in the long run, disposable email addresses aren't particularly helpful. That most are tied to a single real account and password seems to me a negligible risk. Disposable email addresses can absolutely help improve your privacy. When an email address is required, if you provide a disposable one, you've not really shared that much about yourself. Coupled perhaps with other fake information, it can be part of keeping more of your information out of the hands of strangers. I view disposable email addresses primarily as a spam management technique. If you're about to hand over an email address to someone you don't or don't yet trust, a disposable email address allows you to quickly and easily avoid the spam they might send if they turn out to be evil. Now, there is a catch. Let's say you have an account at a major retailer using something like you plus retailer at randomisp.com. Email they send to you will land in your real you at randomisp.com email inbox. What about email you send to them? Remember, to the rest of your world, you at randomisp.com and you plus retailer at randomisp.com are 2 completely separate and unrelated email addresses. If you reply to email sent to you plus retailer at randomisp.com, but your reply comes from you at randomisp.com, you may have issues. The retailer won't see that both of them are you. Or you may not. It may also depend on the specifics of who you're contacting. But it's important to understand that it might matter. After setting up one of my retailer at askleo.com style addresses, I discovered that I then had to configure my mail program to be able to send from that email address as well, in order for retailer to pay attention to me. Now, a couple of words about email security. We've talked some about email security and how disposable addresses don't really add that much. However, email security is critical. Regardless of whether you're using disposable email addresses or not, it's important that you keep your email account secure. It's the gateway to so much you do online. You don't want to ever risk it being compromised. And yeah, that means it's the usual checklist you're probably tired of hearing about. Long and strong passwords, 20 random characters. Unique passwords. Every account gets a different password, no exceptions. 2-factor authentication whenever it's offered. And adding recovery information and keeping that recovery information up to date. So, investigate the capabilities of your email provider and see if they support any form of disposable email addresses. If they're of interest, experiment with 1 or 2, particularly when registering with sites you might not yet completely trust. For updates, for comments, for links to related articles, and more, visit askleo.com/179553. If you've got a question, visit askleo.com/ask. If you'd like to use your brand new disposable email address for a newsletter, askleo.com/newsletter will get you my weekly Confident Computing newsletter. And if you're interested in supporting Ask Leo, that's askleo.com/patron. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.